Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I'm making for Xiaoqi Dong of a track from an act named Liu Yu Gang, titled The New Drunken Beauty. And if we switch over to here, as part of this custom monthly music review, we're going to be listening through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. We've also got lyrics. We've also got lyrics at the end to check out, so that's all good. But what is this song about? Oh, the flutes. The plucks. Intention. Oh, it's very intense off the bat, isn't it? I love the color there, it's phenomenal, very dramatic. Those tremolo picks are exquisite on top of that drum groove. Great chord note accents. Excellent. Great. I can tell this video may or may not have been compressed and re-uploaded a few times. There's a little bit of fragmentation in the sound of it, you know. But that's okay. I'm still liking the vibe of it. Oh, great. Great position for his vocals in the mix. Oh, cool response to those leads. Oh, double verse? Okay. Lots of guitar. Can you hear those unison bends that are going on in the background as a sub layer in those guitar parts? They're fantastic, man. Sorry. They're going so high. They're going so high. Wow. I'm blown away by that. Is that a specific type of vocal style? I think it's like a Chinese operatic kind of vibe, innit? I could be wrong. I've heard people talk about it a little bit. I do like the fact that we're combining it with these distorted guitars and the drums and those orchestral sort of traditional elements there. Great combination. A soaring harmony. Phenomenal vocal technique there with those slow vibratos. Oh, it sizzles, doesn't it? It sizzles. Oh. Phenomenal listening experience here. I've got a lot of love for what's going on here with this arrangement. Like, it was so well voiced. There was a lot of notes in there, and they were cleanly played, and there was nice legato and a bit of shred and arpeggio work there. A few pinch harmonics there. We clearly understood our instrument how to get most out of it, and the kind of sizzle to that tone did contrast well with the other elements of the backing, the accompaniment. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think going into that falsetto for this part here is a great choice. It's so magnificent. Such a great tone to it. And I suppose if you understand the language natively, it'd be even more powerful. I feel as if we've had a lot in this 3 minutes so far. I'm not quite sure how they're going to extend it to 4.5 with the main motif, but we'll find out. And there's other sort of male chanted vocals in the background as well. Oh, double hook? Double hook. Okay. Three hooks. Three hooks. Three of them. Three in a row. What are we doing differently this time? This has to be it. We're not doing four of them, are we? Because at this point it feels as if we're just extending it simply for the grace of having a 4.5 minute track. Even though I'm vibing with the concept and the performance and the tone of it, you know. Oh, key change here with these woodwinds and flutes. It was smart having it 3 times. It's like they knew they were kind of taking a risk for doing it a 3rd time, but they also understood to be more powerful if they didn't do it a 4th time. What a lovely little harmony to finish that on. It's absolutely charming. Really wonderful makeup, by the way, on these dancers. It's incredible. I don't know a lot about this culture and this sort of thing, so obviously if you want to tell me more about it, feel free to do so in the comments. Yeah, Xiaoqi Dong. We've got some lyrics here, so we're gonna check them out and see if we can understand more about it. So I'm hoping you guys can see the lyrics here. Let me know if you can't, like in the comments. I know we've got this big F Facebook thing, but we're just gonna have to do the best we can, you know. So this is poetry based, isn't it? Oh, so they just want to be together in the dream and make up and find resolution there, you know. Oh, they got gold finch hairpin and jade combs. I see. May I ask you, when did you love me? So I suppose we're from the perspective of person telling this, they're reminded of this former lover that they had, and they're wondering when actually there was love, you know. How real was it? You know what I mean? I think that's really cool. Who knew how holden low my heart was, intoxicated in his majesty's arms, and I go back to the Tang dynasty for his love in my dream. So were they in love with like a king or a royal person? Is this talking about part of history? Is this like a storytelling device going back in time for like a more sort of romantic period or something like that? Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track. What was it called? Called The New Drunken Beauty by Liu Gang. So yeah, I think this track is about someone who is going over their love for someone and trying to figure out where it all went wrong. The world around them reminds me of it, you know. I think said lover might have been someone truly exceptional, and I do regret the fact that things didn't work out. And there's a lot more to it. They're looking at like how love and hatred was like a flash in the past, you know, a flash, and you know, they're wondering where it even came from and whether it will come again. But yeah, really great first impression to this actually Liu Gang, if I'm not mistaken. Fantastic first impression. The vocals are absolutely sensational. You know, I was happy in that sort of chest voice within the verse sections, but going into that sort of, again, that operatic style there, and the chorus is just soaring above the clouds, was just fantastic. Really beautiful timbre in there, and I think as a solo vocalist within the mix, with, you know, aside from the sort of the male chanting that was going on in the lower end to directly contrast with what they were doing in the vocals at the top. You know, like I don't think we needed any more going on with the singing. I think we showed that we understood what was appropriate for the music and talked in a way that made sense for the story, as well as the backing track, and the, you know, you don't hear vocals like this very often nowadays. You know, a lot of the music I've reviewed from this part of the world, so it's kind of nice to hear something different. So thanks again to Xiaoqi Dong for that. I think when you've got a really strong singer, what you can do is look at the backing behind it, the main sort of musical concept, the motif, the theme, and it had a very sort of grand royal kind of feel to it, like we were illustrating something very regal. And, you know, it was, I suppose it's a song that was sad. You know, we kind of showed some regret for what had occurred. It didn't have a happy ending, but at the same time, everything within it was so exquisite that you're almost like, but we had a great time anyways. Strings, the flutes at the beginning especially as well, contrasted with the guitars and the drums and bass and everything like that was going on in those hooks, and it was just fantastic sort of consideration of what was appropriate for which positions. So, you know, how to keep a sort of a sense of equilibrium within the track as well, not allowing things to become too busy. Whenever we had an extra instrument added or taken away, they found a niche in the frequency spectrum. And the stereo field. The track was 4.5 minutes, you know. We had the instrumental intro and outro with the verse, chorus, verse, and then like a solo section right in the middle of the track, which wasn't expecting, within like 3 times of the hook at the end. And we're lucky that it was a catchy hook. I know there's a lot of people who are watching this who are totally sort of just super chill with the concept of like a 3-time hook. I don't really hear a lot of it nowadays in music, and I think it's because a lot of people are sort of afraid to have a track over 4 minutes. But I kind of admire the choice to have that longer verse, the chorus section at the end, you know, having that 3 times, finishing off on the original sort of like melody line and different key signature there with those instrumental parts with like traditional instruments. And like, again, we had an interesting sort of town here where we would use the distorted guitars, the bass and drums with like, I still struggle with the names. The you know those ones, those instruments there, the plucked strings there with the tremolo parts on top of the guitars before the vocals came in, and then the vocals were just the ultimate freshener, you know, like they were so smooth. And again, it was great to hear the singer go through those 2 different vocal styles to tell the story and keep things engaging. I think that guitar solo was a fantastic choice there. It was a really full sounding, well voiced part with lots of energy there, but it sounded fantastic, but it also didn't necessarily take away from the song or sound irregular to the other drums and sort of bass grooves and everything like that as well. It was a great sort of balance there. I just think it was good to have in a track this long an instrumental solo. Just something to sort of like freshen the palette a little bit, you know, from the singing parts, even if the singing is interesting. There was not a note out of place with the actual instrument performance itself, you know. The drums when they had those fill theirs were great, and then lead guitar solo was obviously exceptional. And you know, when we did want to have a more sort of somber kind of mood at the beginning with the dynamic range and perceived loudness drop with the less like sort of intense instruments there with like the flutes and the plucked parts, I think that yeah, it's a great showcase of the ability of the various musicians involved. And even though there was some complexity to those parts, it never felt as if it was overplayed. They had like kind of a near AABA structure for the hook as well. On a final note, before we move on to the production, recording, mixing, and mastering, which allowed for a nice sense of resolution there without making it too cheesy. You know, the last thing you want is to ruin a track with an emotional weight by having a really cheesy chord progression, and we didn't have that here. And all in all, again, I think it's just careful consideration of the arrangement for everything, including the vocals, to stack up together and everything have a place in the mix. Because yeah, the recording, mixing, and mastering production was spectacular, even with a little bit of audio degradation from the multiple uploads and downloads and uploads of the video itself, like this version, you know, that's been uploaded to YouTube. I can still hear the quality of the recording of the vocals as well as the EQing, filtering, and stuff like that. A little bit of reverb and delay occasionally. The other strings as well, the other instruments as well, you know, in that front, they sound nice and balanced and well EQ'd, and they fit onto the frequency spectrum and stereo field because of that. There's no weird resonances or anything like that. I think we had the correct understanding to just allow a lot of these instruments to just be without over filtering or sort of overdoing the effects chains on them, you know. I think if we'd ruined the original tone of these tracks, they would have sounded a little bit disingenuous and authentic. And while I'm not sure about when this track was released, I think that there's a timeless essence to it, which I hope this band has found success. You know, they deserve it. And then finally, the limiting compression. Like, it's excellent. You know, nice and loud without pumping, even again with the repeated compression due to the degradation of the audio quality. And there was nice glowing of the various elements in the mix as well, without killing the dynamic range. And that's effectively my SP Patrons video, my review today of the Liu Gang's the new Drunken Beauty. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do check out their various social medias. And I'm sure this will be on all digital streaming platforms, including YouTube. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.